have an interest in that React.js, not only the React.js. If you need to move over to the React.js concept, you need to have a deep knowledge about the design for HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap is an optional thing. HTML and CSS is moreover enough for that, but Bootstrap is a now currently booming platform. So what I'm just saying about that, you need to know about that additional of that Bootstrap also. Okay. So okay. And after the session, after the session, after the session, I will share the mock-up screen with you guys to the mail ID that you guys shared in the group, and try to complete that mock-up within just have it as a task. Just complete with this week, within this week. After at the end of Friday, you can show it to me that a mock-up that I will share with you guys. So you can try that mock-up with that HTML and CSS with your knowledge. Okay. So I will share that mock-up at the end of the session, and you can try it with that HTML, with that simple HTML CSS for the first page alone. My screen is visible, right?
Yes, Ajit, we can see the screen.
Yes. Yeah, my screen. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
It is
Ajit,
a
we can see
mock-up
the
that I will
screen.
share with you. It is a mock-up that I will share with you guys after the session. So please try to complete. I just have it as a big task today. This big task. Okay. You just need to have this header size. Header is with the context of the left hand side as a SMS campaign, and in the right hand side you just need to have this menus, campaigns, and list and contacts and logout as a button. You need to design this part alone. I will share this mockup at the end of the session. You need to design this part alone. You don't need to worry about this logic, the second screen and the third screen and all. Just try to complete this first screen alone for this week. Okay. I will just
So
explain that.
this might be done in, I guess, CSS or
If
okay.
you are aware with the bootstrap, you can use the bootstrap also. If you're not aware with the bootstrap, you can just use the HTML and CSS alone. That's fine for me. Okay. Because how strong you guys are in HTML and CSS, that's something I need to know about. So what I'm just saying that you can just have this as a big task, and try to complete this within HTML and CSS for the first screen alone. I will explain it that what are the components that you are having in the screen. Okay. Initially, in a header, you are having two parts: left section and right section. In left section, you are having the header SMS campaign, and the right, you are having three menus with a button, logout button with an icon inside of here. For that icons, you can just follow the font awesome icons. Okay, font awesome icons. Just Google this keyword, and you can get over there, get their logout font awesome. You can just Google it for anything. If you need that logout button, logout icon, you can just Google it like logout font some icon. Okay, so like that you can get it over from the Google, and just have it in your local, and you can fetch over it from here. Okay, so it is the first part, top section, header part, and inside of that you are having this main section. Just name it as a class name. Name the class name according to that section that you are designing about. Okay, so naming convention is more and more important, because why I am saying that's more important. If you are leaving the code as of now, once another guy is getting your code, he needs to understand what you have done so far in a completed project. Okay, so what I'm just saying, naming convention is more and more important when you're doing design part. You need to name your class name with the corresponding appropriate class names. If you are designing this part, you need to name this entire part as a class name of header section, and inside of the header section, if you are designing this, you need to name it as a left part, and if you are starting this section, you need to name it as a right part. inside of that you can handle those things. Okay, so after completing this header part, you are coming through this main part. You just name it as a class name of main section. Okay, inside of that, just split into two sections. Inside of the main section, just have it as a top section, and it is a bottom section. Inside of the top section, just split into two sections, that is the left part and the right part. Inside of the left part, just give a header tag. Header tag, you guys are aware about it, right? H1 to H6 depends upon a numerical size that the font size of the header tag will get different. So left part, instead of that, just give H3 as a context, and right part, just give it a this button add context with a plus. Similar to that logout, just search it, Google it for a plus icon font and then it will provide you. So just have it in your local and basically your screen. Okay. So inside of that button, just Google it about how we can able to design. I mean, just use a bootstrap button if you can able to aware about it. Otherwise, just use it as a CSS button, and styles are all that's apart from you. You can give a color of anything. You can have your own color, own dynamic color, and own color. So down to that, just have an anchor tag. Anchor tag is nothing but that is a link download sample. That is just a link. Just give it as a link alone. Don't write any logic behind it. I just need that. I just need this recreation of this screen. Are you getting my point? Are you getting my point? So I just need a recreation of the screen. Okay. So after this main part, the top section, just come out to the bottom section. Inside of the bottom section, you need to have this corresponding white screen. Inside of that white screen, just have some image instead of this. Just search it for a user icon font awesome, user icon font awesome, and it will provide you. So just have it inside of that, and just give a padding outside of that. You can provide some background color for that, and other than that, at the bottom of that, you just need to have this words no context, and bottom of that, you just need to have this lorem ipsum content. Okay, so you just need to recreate this design alone. That's the main task being done for you guys, because I can't say it is more complexity you can able to do within this week, because it is not more complexity. You can able to, if you are aware with the HTML CSS concept from the beginning, and you are in the beginning stage, you can able to move over with this concept. Okay, you can move over to write design the screen, the first screen alone. I will share this mock-up after this session, and
Sir, will you be sharing the code of this?
I won't share the code for this. You need to write a code for them. For
Because
HTML,
sir, they are not so strong with this. They know simple HTML. Like they can make a form with text boxes, buttons, but this designing part, this I don't think so. They are so much proficient in this. So
okay.
if you can initially show them some basic designs, no, then with the help of that they can catch up later on. So if you can give the task, and then if you can give the code, let's say the code to me, so I will make sure that they do the task, and if they are stuck anywhere, then I can help them with the code.
Okay.
So they will not bother you, because their HTML knowledge is very basic. Like they just know what is the header tags, paragraph tags, font tag, color, and just basics of CSS, like how to link a CSS to a HTML page. But what all should be there in a CSS file, like how to do the borders, how to do the splitting. Like you don't know, you will split this SMS campaign in one header, then this contact in second header. So how to do this splitting? That if you show them the basics, no, then they will come to know. Then they will feel comfortable.
Okay.
This is what I am telling you, sir.
Okay, then I will share you the code for right now. So let me explain that. Let's explain the design part alone. I will share you the code in the group. Okay.
Yes.
Just
Okay,
first,
okay, Ajit.
let me have some introduction about the React.js because I'm just saying that you need to aware about the HTML CSS part a lot. If you need to learn, if you are having an interest in the JS part, so what I'm just saying. Okay.
Okay, okay.
Okay, then let me share an overview about it. It is just a library for designing for build responsive web application, building the user interfaces. Yeah, it is a MVC model view controller network by it consists of a reusable components and interactive UI components. So as I have already told you in the last session, it was so many platforms and so many social networks are designed by using this React JS, Facebook, Instagram, and so many things are there. And why we are moving to the React.js, that is simply as benefits and advantages of the React.js. That is the model view controller and virtual DOM. Virtual DOM I already told you that that is for performance improvement, and unidirectional data flow is nothing but in bi-way, in both way, from the front end to the back end or back end to the front end, that will be bilingually. It will improve the performance dynamically on comparing with another platform that will only for a unidirectional data flow that will move over from the front end to the back end, that will move from front end to the back end alone, not from the back. No, it should not fetch the data from the back end to the front end. In React.js, it will dynamically do the both from the front end to the back end. It is sending the data, you can able to do that. If we need to fetch a data from the back end to the front end, you can able to handle that also. So why we should saying that unidirectional data flow, it concept is that so UI components is nothing but it will use the reusable interactive components. Interactive or reusable components is nothing but in a project that you are handling so many components. If you need to handle and if you need to call that components in some other more and more files, we can call that component name alone. I already told you, right? We can call that component name alone. That will cause that entire component and that file, and you can use it over there. If you need to modify the style or logic alone, you can override there the corresponding file. It depends upon the file organization. Okay. And SEO friendly is nothing but search engine optimization. It is nothing but it will avoid the third party plugin. Plugin is nothing but it will avoid that cost policy. Cost policy is it is a just a backend encryption format. Cost policy and some other local platforms, it may affect that cost origin policy. It will it will never allow the compiler to fetch the details from the backend. So in order to avoid that, we can use that cost policy inside of the package.json. We will install that cost. So if we install that, it will never allow that. So that we are using saying that SEO friendly. Okay. So coding is simpler. It depends upon the capacity of a candidate or a developer. So it will be a capacity of advantages. So coding it will be simpler because we are using the JS, inside of that XML, right, within that HTML. So why it is saying that coding is simpler, and React JS it is having its own debugger. For Vue also it is having own debugger. In a browser we are having that inside in the top right corner we are having some debugger in icons, right? So that is for the React.js we are having cost policy icon, and React.js debugger is also there. Debugger is nothing but it will show you that where the error was handled and where the code was struck, where the compiler was struck, and what you need to do to resolve that issue. That are all the information that will be stored inside of this debugger. Okay, React Native is already told you that it is an advantageous form of React.js that is used for developing the mobile applications. Clear? So these are all the core concepts of React.js, that the major benefits of the React.js, JSX and reusable components and unidirectional data flow and virtual DOM. These are all the major benefits of React.js. Yeah. JSX I already told you, JavaScript XML syntax transform. It is for writing code easier and faster. It is nothing but it will reduce the code optimization. It will be majorly benefit for a code optimization. So why we are saying the code optimization is because it consists of mostly object representation. Object is nothing but consists of pair of key and value. Object is nothing but it is a JSON format. JavaScript format. Okay, JSON format. JSON format is nothing but the JSON has always been in an object format. Object consists of two things. One is a key and another is a value. Okay, key and value. Key is the left hand part and the value is the right hand part. So what are all the API calls and what are all the data that we need to store and what are all the data that we need to send it from a front end to the back end and what are all the data that we need to get it from a back end to the front end. All these things will be conveyed through this object alone. Object alone, JSON format alone consists of both key and value pairs. Okay. So other than that, we can pass over the arrays and integers and the strings and the characters. So most probably we will pass this JSON object alone with the representation of key and value pairs. Okay. And it is nothing but it is a basic concept of JSX. It is a basic concept of JSX script block. Just have a look on it. From 8 to 19 inside of the script, I just need to write the JSX part because script is nothing but JavaScript is a scripting language. So what are all the concepts that you are writing inside of JS, you need to write inside of the script tag. So that they are mentioning, just see, take a look on it. They are so where they have mentioned the type is equal to text or JSX because you need to mention this type. So that the compiler can able to know that what kind of platform that he can able to write it inside of the script. Okay, so inside of the script tag you will be able to write only the JSX alone. Other than the JSX is not able to do that. Other than that JSX is not able to write it inside of it. Okay, so inside of that I'm just doing it is a global scope where and my app is going to react and create class. I have already told you this method is a most basic method. React and create is nothing but it is creating the class this line and the render is nothing but inside of the render what are all the primitive functions and what are all the logic functions we need to handle inside of a file. We can use it inside of this render and return is nothing but what are all the HTML part. What are all the HTML part that I need in JSX I need to mention inside of this return. So why inside of this return I am just using the h1 tag hello React, right? So this is a structure of React.js. It is line number 18 is nothing but it is a component. Just check it out here. My app is a class name that I have declared here. So it is a component name. How to call a component? This is a syntax of calling the component. Opening an angular bracket and the component name, leave a space and a cross mark and that's a slash and close the angular bracket. This is a syntax of calling the component and this is a syntax of explaining the component for basic concepts, for the basic structure. Okay, it is a concept of defining the component, and it is a syntax for calling the component. Okay, so comma after the document get element the ID content is nothing but you need to show that hello React, right? So why they are calling that content? It is by calling that an ID, using that ID. So it is line number 18 is nothing but calling the component. So okay, so yeah. Other than that, here you are using that line number 12, you are using HTML inside of this JSX, right? Other than that, if you don't want to use the HTML inside of the JSX, you can use it over here like this. Just React.render, inside of the render React.dom is for document object model. Inside of the how we can able to call that h1 tag .h1 inside of the just pass it as a parameter. Null is nothing but as a design part and what is the content that you need to pass inside of h1 tag, you need to pass it as a second argument. Clear? You need to pass it as a second argument and after that you need to pass the same ID content. That's it. So it is an another way of calling that JSX without HTML, without JSX. Okay, JSX. Just check it out here. It is with the JSX. With the JSX is nothing but I'm just creating a component, and after explaining those component ideologies, and after that I'm just here calling this component. Okay, so it is without JSX. Without JSX is nothing but just creating the component with h1 tag instead of the passing those two arguments. Clear? And components is nothing but it is for more interactive and for code optimization. that I already told you. Just check the same code will be logic for here. I'm just creating the component here and calling this component here. Okay, just have a look on. We are creating our own component with the name my app. It is a component name. Clear? I'm just creating a component with the name of my app, and in line number 18 I'm just calling that component. Calling or rendering, they both the same having meaning. I'm just rendering those components inside of this content clip on HTML, right? So it is a syntax of rendering the component, and it is a syntax of creating the component. Clear? So unidirectional data flow is nothing but I already told you, from the parent to the children by the state and the prop will be allowed. Just please take a serious note of it. From the parent to the children, I can pass over the data. From the children to the parent, I can't able to do that. Clear? So that they have mentioned that unidirectional data flow. Unidirectional data flow is nothing but from the parent to the children, I can able to fetch the details from the parent, and I can send it to the data to the children via properties. Basically have a look on it. From our parents, from our father and mother, we can able to fetch the characters from them, right? So we can't provide our characters to our parents. Are you getting my point? Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt? Any doubt still now? Adnan, Umar, and Deepak?
So when we will do this practically, then they will understand better.
Yeah, I will explain it practically. So I just need more candidates, right? So what I'm just having an overview of it. So
Yes, yes.
just need to have a look on this component theoretical concept. Once you are aware of the theoretical concepts, when I move to the practical, you can able to switch it over easily better than that. So what I'm just trying this, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, just have a look on it. From the parent to the child, you can able to fetch all the details. Okay, so that is why they are mentioning that directional data flow. Only one parent is responsible to update the states and passing the variable to the children complex via props. State variable is nothing but that will be mutable, and properties that will be passed over from the parent to the child. So why they are saying that prop is immutable? So why they are saying the prop is not able to change. And how we can change that state variable? Set state is the syntax, and then we can use that. Set state is nothing but updating the state variable. In order to update the state variable, we can use that set state syntax instead of this. If we need to handle the props concept, what are the properties, values that I'm getting from the parent to the child, how we can search it, this dot props, by using this keyword, this is nothing but for fetching the current variable. That for that we are using fetching properties values. Okay. For updating the state variable, we can use that set state syntax. And virtual DOM, I already told you that virtual DOM is nothing but that is for updating the corresponding values. Just have a note of it. It is selectively render the subtree of DOM elements into the rendering of the DOM on state change. State change is nothing but what all the changes that we need to observe in an application, the corresponding state will be getting updated instead of updating all those variables, all those states inside of this file. So that is a major performance improvement will be a benefit of virtual DOM. Yeah. And if we need to work on the React.js project, you need to download the React initially, and after that download JSX and install the React debugger. That is an optional one. That is a React debugger tool that will be installed in the Chrome. And I hope you guys are working on that. Which platform, Visual Studio Code, or what platform that you are aware with? Adnan, Wise, and Deepak, which coding platform?
So HTML we would code in Notepad++.
Notepad. For that you can use the Notepad++. For JS concept, React.js, you need to download the Visual Studio Code, updated Visual Studio Code. Okay.
So Visual Studio 2010 would do.
Sorry.
2010 version.
Just what depends upon your browser, depends upon your compiler. Visual Studio Code you can download it for Windows. For if you are using Ubuntu, you can download it for Ubuntu.
So, sir, can you share the link for Windows 10?
Yeah. Sir, in that file you have saved the React video to download. Which file? Which file? If I, yeah, now tell me again. Now tell me again what you get to ask about. You said that you have to download React. So what you have to download that first? In download the React is nothing but after downloading the Visual Studio Code, you need to download the Node.js. Just, I will share the link. Just have a look on the Meet chat. I have shared the link for downloading the Visual Studio Code, and sir, I have already downloaded it. Already downloaded. Okay, not a problem. I'm just sharing for others, right? And now I'm sending a link for downloading the Node.js. You need to have the Node.js in your local so that you can able to run the React project. Okay.
So share the
And
link on the WhatsApp group. That would be better.
okay, I will share it in a WhatsApp group then. And yeah, after installing that, you can able to run over your React project. Okay. These are all just some concepts of JSX using the script instead of the script tag, and what is the syntax of creating the class a component and how we can able to call that component. It is a similar syntax with it. And props is nothing but I already told you properties. Properties that we can extract it from a parent component and we can send it to the child component, right? So inside of that parent component, we can able to pass over the properties, whatever the properties that the parent component is having, and if we need to call over from the child, we need to extract it in the child component. We can use that this dot props. And if you are having any name, you can just define it by props. Can be defined by name equal to value. If we need to access that value, we can call that properties with the name of this dot props dot name. Why I am calling that this dot props dot name? Because I'm just having the key. I'm just having the key as a name and value as a value. If I'm having here as a something any other word like React, you need to call it as this dot prop dot React. Okay, what are all the what are all the uh, what are all the value, what are the key that you are having in the left part? By using that name, you need to call it over here by using this dot prop dot what are the key values that you are having there. Okay. So that is the syntax of calling that this dot prop dot fetching the properties value from the parent component. Clear? Yeah, just check it over here. So I'm just creating the component here. I'm just creating the component, my component with the name of my component, and instead of that I am just passing this div element h1 tag hello comma this dot props dot name. So from there it will get the this dot props dot name. What's the name that it will get it? So where I will get it from, it is a parent component, right? My component, and there I'm just passing name equal to Neha. Name equal to Neha. I'm just closing that component, and this name will be passed to this component, so that if this dot props dot instead of this dot props dot name, what is the name that I'm passing inside of this value, that will be printed over there. Okay, so what's the output that I will get? Hello comma Neha, right? So how you are getting that name, that will be syntax for passing that parent to the child component. It is a syntax of passing the properties name equal to inside of the string. You need to pass it a string Neha, and it is a syntax of extracting the properties from the parent to the child component. This dot prop dot name. Okay, and state. So far now we have a look on that props variable, how to pass the props variable and what is the props and how we use the props. State is nothing but from yeah, it is a single component and it is in another file. So we are handling two files inside of a single screen, so that we can able to pass the properties from one thing to another thing. In a state is entirely different. We can be able to use the state variable inside of single file alone. If you are using the state variable in a single file, you can't able to use the same state in another file. That is a major difference between it. Every component has a state agent can be set by using set state. I have already told you if you need to update the state variable, you need to pass this, you need to have the syntax set state. Instead of an argument, you need to pass the values what you need to update. And these are the life cycle methods of it. Get initial state and get default props. These are the life cycle methods of it. And just have a look on it. Here I'm creating a component with the name of my component, and instead of the return count 5, I'm just returning the count 5. Instead of the hello, this dot prop dot name and this dot state dot count. Similar, I have already informed you how to pass the properties name by this component name, and after that name equal to main neha and close the component. And from there, I'm just getting this count, this dot state. So inside of this get initial state, it is a basic concept of React.js. Get initial state is the lifecycle method. Instead of that, I'm just passing the count. So the 5 will be getting stored instead of this count variable. Wherever I'm just calling that this dot state dot count, that will be printed there. So what is the output that I will get? Hello, comma, neha space 5. Clear? So the count variable that will be the 5 will be getting stored inside of this count. Whenever I call, it is a syntax of calling the state variables. Just please take a note of it. Whenever we need to call the prop, this is a syntax for the this dot prop dot name. Where I need to call the state variable, this is a syntax for calling the state variable. This dot state dot count, because the 5 is getting stored in the count. Okay, so dot is nothing but we need to fetch the data, we need to use that dot. Okay, and these are all the life cycle methods that I have shown you in a past class. Component will mount and component will occur. These are all the some life cycle methods, but these are all will be getting deprecated right now. Okay, and events is nothing but on click event, on key down, on key up. These are something like that. Yeah. When I click on this key icon, raise hand icon, when I click on, when I hover on it, it is showing me some messages like raise hand, control alt h. These are the suggestions how we can do that. This is a on key up. On key up is nothing but I'm just having the cursor on this icon, right? So this is an event. What needs to be handled when I key up on that? When I click on that, what it needs to be handled? It is just showing me, right? This person is raised his hand like that. So these are all the concepts that we can able to write in events. Events is nothing but what are the functionalities that the compiler needs to handle once the button is clicked in, and once the button is removed, and once the button is hovered and focused. These are all the some events inside of it. Okay. Button type is equal to button on click. On click is nothing but when I click that button, what it needs to be handled, there will be logic written inside of this on click. Okay, this dot click count. This dot click count is nothing but this is a way of calling the function. This is a way of calling the function. Just have a look on it. I'm just telling about the syntax of how to do that. This is a way of calling the function. This dot click out. So when the compiler is coming to this line button, it will observe that it is a button, and what it needs to be handled after clicking on this button, that will be written here. This dot click count. It will directly goes to that click count function. Inside of the function, you are writing that this dot set state. This dot set state, I have already told you, it will update the state variable. What is the state variable inside of this already? That will update it. So count equal to this dot state dot count plus 1. Here, by default, you are having the 5 as a count value instead of this state. Clear? So by default, you are having 5 as a value instead of this count. When I click on this button, I need to get update that state.count plus 1. So please tell me that what is the value that I will get after clicking that button. Please tell me that what I will get the value inside of this once I click that button.
6.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what here I'm saying. Initially, I will get the value as 5. After clicking on that, the compiler will go to this function and will update the value 1. So 5 plus 1, I will get that 6 inside of it. Okay. So it is just a syntax of calling the function, how to call the function and how to write the function, the syntax here. Okay. And unidirectional data flow, I have already told you how to pass the properties from the parent to the child component. That is the unidirectional data flow. And these are all the differences between it. What is the differences and what's the technology that you are passing, and what is the view, and if your support is there or not, and what's the technology that we can able to follow with. For the Angular, we can use HTML, CSS, JS, and Angular in a separable files. For React, is nothing but we don't need a separable files for HTML and JavaScript. Inside of the one single file JSX, we can handle both JS and HTML. So why we are calling that JSX? Clear? And that's it for the basic overview of React. And I will explain that the core concept of the React is practically in a successive classes. Okay.